Sean Haney here with Real Agriculture and Real Ag Radio at the Top Producer Summit in Kansas City, Missouri. It's been a great week talking to tons of farmers from across the U.S., big-time fans of Real Agriculture and Real Ag Radio. One of the highlights, though, was a fireside chat that happened on Tuesday morning. Newly confirmed USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins was in attendance. She did a fireside chat with Kansas Senator Roger Marshall. They talked about, in the future, it won't only be a golden age for the United States, it would be a golden age for U.S. agriculture.
What I can tell you is this, that entire game, and ever since that night, Saturday night, right before Thanksgiving, my mind and building the teams and building the plans and understanding the significant challenges facing our communities across this country, that we have lost 147,000 family farms between 2017 and 2022, that the cost of input is up 30%, that our exports are down $37 billion this year and likely to be down $42 billion in the months to come. This is a crisis, and this is something that I understand inherently. I was born in a small town, raised on a small farm, had a big family farm in Minnesota where I spent my summers on a row crop farm. But growing up in 4-H and FFA, growing up in rural America, we have got a tremendous amount of work to do. But my promise to you is this, and my commitment will never waver, that every minute of every day for the next 4 years, I will do everything within my power, with hopefully God's hand on all of us and our work, to ensure that we are not just entering the golden age for America, as my boss, President Trump, likes to say, but we are entering the golden age for agriculture. So what a joy.
Brooke, you shared why agriculture is important to you, your commitment to agriculture. 90% of Americans, rural America, 90% of rural America voted for President Trump. Why is rural America important to President Trump?
I'll never forget, and maybe many of you remember where you were the minute that real estate mogul and reality TV star Donald J. Trump came down that escalator in Trump Tower in New York. At that time, I think there were 16 other Republicans running in the primary. The favorites on that day were Governor Jeb Bush of Florida and Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin. But I'm a Texan, so we had Rick Perry in the race. Senator Ted Cruz was in the race. I think Roger Marshall may have been in the race. No, I'm just kidding. Not yet. But there was something. Most of America said, I don't think so, except rural America. From almost minute one, understood. And to think of the irony, right, of the billionaire who lives in a penthouse in New York City, that he would be the one that would come down that escalator and that would connect with the hearts and the minds of all of rural America in a way that is unprecedented, at least in our lifetime. And I think and believe so sincerely that what our people, what we who are from rural America and from the ag community understood, is that his focus of returning power to the people, that for too long both Democrats and Republicans had been amassing and building massive government and bureaucracy, really at all levels, but especially at the federal level. And what our people wanted was just a chance at the American dream. And this real estate guy from New York City brought that vision to life. And then in the last term, was able to really do some remarkable things. I call it the Great Pause, the 4 years in between term one and term two. But I think what the Great Pause has allowed is very intentional planning. It has allowed what a courageous and bold leader in President Trump to become a fearless leader and to do everything he can to bring America back to greatness. I'll finish with this, and I think, Senator, this is where you were headed with that. In my hundreds, thousands of interactions with President Trump over the last 7.5 years. I joined his administration at the beginning of year 2 of term 1, and then launched the America First Policy Institute in the dark days of January 2021, but with the idea that those policies that made America great in the first term would continue into the future indefinitely, not just for an immediate second term, but for the conservative president in 4 years or 8 years or 36 years, these policies would remain viable. But amongst all of it, and in all the conversations I've had with the president, including the very first phone call after I was overwhelmingly, not unanimously, but overwhelmingly approved by Senator Marshall's colleagues, that call was from President Trump. And he said, please let the farmers and the ranchers know that we are going to do everything we can to make them prosperous again. And I said, sir, we will absolutely do that. So his heart is with this community. It has always been. He understands that more than any other category segment in society of voters, that the rural Americans are the ones who've been with him from the beginning to this day. And a 90% is just incredible.
To no one's shock, one of the big questions that came out of the audience was, what kind of impact would DOGE have on the future of USDA?
DOGE is, I think, a very valid and important effort for across all of government. The stories of waste and abuse were really just, and this is not USDA specific, but across government, are just beginning. You know that when we all on average work till I think end of April to pay our taxes, our federal taxes, and then the other, I mean, where is the money going? USDA has 106,000 employees, 29 different departments. It is a massive, massive agency. Of course, probably a lot of you know that almost 80% of that, maybe 81%, is the food stamp program. So it's actually not as aligned on the ag community as I hope to help realign. Not that the food stamp programs aren't important, but I see DOGE having a big job there. But as far as it relates to those programs that relate to the people in this audience, we have been working hand in hand. I've only been in the office for about half a day at this point, but we'll be back there this afternoon, and we will begin to really dive down into all of that. Our commitment is that if there has been commitments made, those will be honored. And so getting our arms around all of that right now is really, really, really important. I think that, again, going back to the president's heart and commitment to our farmers, that I feel confident that we will be able to solve any issues that are in front of our ag community that are potentially being compromised by the DOGE effort, while at the same time recognizing how very, very important it is. I think there's no question that USDA in a lot of ways needs some modernization. I'm just beginning to lean into that as well. So I'm really looking forward from a positive kind of on offense aspect, once we get through this initial round, to having them help us think through how to make the USDA more customer friendly and more modern.
And of course, we also heard about the role that tariffs could play in trying to forge new markets and bigger markets for U.S. exports.
Yeah. You know, we talk about here's words and then here's actions. I think it's time to just reflect for a second to President Trump 1.0. He used tariffs as a tool then to leverage trade agreements. We redid USMCA, and now that's our largest ag partner for the most part, between Mexico and Canada, 1A and 1B. He gave us South Korea. He gave us Japan. Our beef sales, so important to Kansas, is our cattle industry. Our beef sales through the roof with Japan, with South Korea. He gave us China 1.0 as well. And unfortunately, that's fell by the wayside as well. Let's just talk. We got 0 trade agreements done in the last 4 years. How does trade fit into your future? I know you're not the USTR, but you'll be working hand in hand with them.
I will. I think I know there's a lot of concern, legitimate concern amongst probably people in this room, I'm guessing, but across the agriculture community. And I understand that concern. And my job is to ensure that as President Trump and our trade representatives are making their decisions, that I am in the room advocating on behalf of our people, on behalf of all of you, to understand exactly where the community is and will continue to be. Having said that, I believe that one of the most important roles that I will play, and one of the roles I'm really excited about, is moving and finding and expanding market access across the world for our products out of this country. Listen, we've got the consummate deal maker in the Oval Office. I know in the last 250 years, we've not had anyone like President Trump. I am guessing for the next 1,000 years in American history, we will probably never have another Donald J. Trump. He is a very unusual, remarkable, and fearless man. But he wants to make a deal, and in the best way, and put America first. And so what I'm really, really excited about is to move out into the world, to begin representing all of you in this room, and to find and expand in ways we've never seen before market access for all of our products.
One of the key things that was mentioned by Senator Marshall and Secretary Rollins was the fact that India could potentially be a bigger market for U.S. ag goods than China.
Yeah, Brooke, as I think about the future, and these folks are the top producers, they want to know what's going to happen. I see India replacing China as our major trade partner as well, that China is growing. Right now, it's not fair and reciprocal. I think it's a 50% average tariffs from India,
right.
And we essentially have none. So I think there's huge opportunities in India. Anything else pop out to you, any other opportunities?
I think your point on India is right. And no offense, Senator, but if you guys had confirmed me a little bit earlier, I was planning to have a conversation with Mr. Modi, who was in the White House the day you guys were voting on me. But listen, they have a great relationship. The president, as you have noticed, again, believes so strongly, and I saw it in the last term, building relationships across the world with these world leaders, even if we don't always agree and even if there's some significant issues, but building those relationships are important. My role and my prayer and my goal is to be able to follow along behind or even follow alongside the president, including India, which I agree with you, I think is a huge opportunity for us.
Sean Haney reporting for Real Agriculture from the Top Producer Summit. Of course, you can go to realagriculture.com and find all of our great coverage from this year's event.